This is Courtney Starhart. I'm going to check on my phone real quick and see that everything is working on these channels. But I'm here today to tell you a story about an experience I had over the weekend. There it is. Okay, cool. We're on. Um, as many of you know, I work with people who are dealing with healing, trauma, a lot of people in recovery, but people in recovery from life. You don't have to actively be using in order to be in recovery, really. I think we're all in ongoing recovery from many, many different things that seem to happen to all of us. Life can be very traumatic, and to a large degree, we've lost the ability that our ancestors had to work through that trauma. Life wasn't always like this. There was a time when people had meaningful stories, meaningful culture, and we're seeing an epidemic in our youth and in our culture, or lack thereof, right now. Let's say in our country, in the United States, an epidemic of suicide, of people overdosing, depression, anxiety. Um, People are really going through a lot right now. And what's going on is that we're seeing the net result of people not asking the right questions. So, when I say it wasn't always like this, I'm not trying to romanticize the olden days. I don't want to go back to the dark ages, and I don't recommend that we do. What I recommend is that we take the technology we have right now in terms of these computers and our phones, and that we put our minds and our hearts together and start asking the right questions. We need to start asking ourselves what we really want for ourselves out of life and what we want for the coming generations. Right now, people are suffering a great deal, and this suffering could be alleviated by asking the right questions and having the right answers. So, what I'm recommending is that we get together an online platform for fundraising, for cooperating on our new church website. And the Church of the Natural Law is nothing but a conglomeration of wisdom teachings from around the planet. There's no dogma, there's no political agenda. There's no religion, so to speak, except for the belief that we need to work together and we need to start figuring out how to do that. So, here we are. We need safe places. Right now, a lot of people are having trouble paying their bills. A lot of people are having the desire to step out of the shitty jobs and the stressful, meaningless lives that they've kind of been forced to live. And so people are having this anxiety and despair. The way to solve this is by creating safe places. I think a lot of people right now are thinking and talking about eco-villages and community and things of that nature. And so it's a really good time for us all to look at the fact that this is something that we all need. This is something that's part of our human nature, is to live together, to work together, to cooperate, to seek happiness together, and to care about each other. Human beings are wired to care about each other and to also connect to nature and to connect to meaningful stories and to culture and habits. Once we're programmed well as a person, then we're pretty easy to get along with once we're socialized properly. But when we're not socialized properly and there's a complete lack of morality, opportunity, ethics, culture, it's really difficult for human beings because we often suffer a lot. So I'm seeing in the community and I'm seeing at large this suffering, and I'm thinking, wow, this is an opportunity to point out to people that we actually need to go back to a more traditional earth honoring way before we lose the opportunity. Right now, we have the technology and the means to communicate and to work with one another. And I think that we should. So, like I was saying, I was upstate over the weekend, right, at this healing facility, and it's very rough and it's very underfunded, but it has the components that are needed. And this is what reminded me of this need to build community around agriculture. Um, so I'm up there and I'm seeing how thick the grass is. I'm seeing the forest. I'm seeing all the briars, and it's like hundreds of acres, and it's not easy to take care of. And the youth who are living there are doing a fabulous job. I mean, they're doing a great job of taking care of this place, but they're understaffed. They're understaffed, underfunded. And so I'm like, boy, you guys need a cash cow, and you need some teachings at this healing center. And I thought how nice it would be to put in aquaponics operations, because with aquaponics, it's like set it and forget it. farming is a lot of work, you guys. There's a reason why people use big machines to farm and why people turn to using chemicals and fertilizers and monocropping to be able to use the machines because it is a lot of work to farm. So and it's worth it and it's very healing. But if we could take the elegance of modern technology and we could mesh it with traditional culture and really kind of reverse engineer what we truly want, that is my goal. So I'm not advertising for the Church of the Natural Law. I'm just informing you that this is what we're doing. It's not a church like other churches. I think another reason why people are so lost, like culturally, ethically, and spiritually right now is because our churches are absolute shite. They're shite, okay? Anyone who encourages people to hurt one another while saying that you should help each other is not only a hypocrite, but obviously like on some kind of satanic path because that is the opposite of light. That is the opposite of love. That is the opposite of like if you truly believed in Jesus or Mohammed or Allah and you believed in this higher entity and these beautiful teachings, you would know that what we're dealing with most of our churches is the exact opposite of that. And they don't even have to be Illuminati or anything exotic like that, just the lack of ethics truly and the hypocrisy and the greed. So we need to form a collaborative where we actually truly work together and where we develop these ideas together and we contribute each one of us to them, like a timeshare with an eco village. At any rate, aquaponics, I think, is a great way to go because once you get that done, then you can grow a wonderful variety of different things very easily and efficiently. And it's also easy on the water. There are no fertilizers required. The fish actually make the fertilizer. An ecosystem underground or in a lake can actually feed an entire greenhouse. At any rate, it's a wonderful system. We're looking at that. We're developing a template for an eco village. I've been talking about this for years, and I think if people had listened to me 20 years ago, it would have been so great because we'd be totally set right now and we'd be living in eco villages. But the pressure that's built up in our modern times from the illness of being disconnected from each other and being disconnected from the earth, this illness is so evident now. It's screaming like a screaming pimple. It's erupting. It's like a volcano. The results of our not asking the right questions, about not having the opportunity to even think about the right questions because there's so much pressure on human beings. And it's so against our nature to have no time to be together or to enjoy life or to engage in something meaningful or to even ask ourselves questions about our purpose. It's unnatural. That goes against our grain. The purpose of our being here in a body is so that we can do that and we can enjoy life. So the right questions, how do we enjoy life? Well, a lot of us need to heal, so we need to think about that. I really appreciate shamanic teachings from around the globe. So I want to say that I think that that's definitely a good track. Martial arts have a lot to do with healing. Yoga is a wonderful path to healing. Plant medicine is a wonderful path to healing. And a lot of these teachings, some of these mystery school teachings are just so spot on that you're like, wow, if everybody knew that one fucking piece of knowledge, if everybody knew for sure, for example, if everybody truly believed that we're connected on some level, that you reincarnate, and that our creator is a source of loving consciousness. If you knew those things for a fact, and if you also knew that by committing suicide or overdosing or anything like that, you're not getting out of the program, right? You'll get reincarnated as like a slug and squashed under someone's boot, but your ass isn't like escaping the merry-go-round. You reincarnate until you get it, because in order to stop reincarnating, you have to become less dense and elevate vibrationally and elevate your consciousness and also elevate this project called life, called humanity. The Gaia project is something that so many of us have been in love with for so many incarnations that we've done it here. We've done it in other places. This is not the only planet in the universe. I'm so sorry, where there's life, and we're not the only creatures in the universe. But what a lot of creatures are apparently is more advanced vibrationally, more advanced evolutionarily speaking, more able to stay in resonance with the higher aspects of the universe, of consciousness. And so they're not as dense. In order to get out of this, you have to elevate. The only way out is through. And so, if people knew a few simple pieces of information like that, for example, if people knew about how to use their mind, if people knew about how to heal and release things, no amount of talk therapy is truly going to heal you. I'm going to repeat that. No amount of talk therapy is truly going to heal you. What's going to heal, if we have trauma and PTSD, is understanding, is actual physical motion. Physical movement is healing. Physical movement. Like you have to do something physically to get it out of your body and to move it out of the muscle tissue. But here's the bitch, is that these things are trapped in the form of feelings, in the form of electromagnetic fields in our energy body and in our physical body. Okay. So, and it's trapped at a very deep level, at a very unconscious level. As I was talking to these kids at this healing facility in upstate New York this weekend, I was struck by what complete geniuses they were, and including my son. I mean, they're so intelligent. They are our greatest asset, and we are each other's greatest asset in this life. We have to start figuring these things out together and like creating like recipes that we can share with each other for not only how for us to develop that here, but for us to share that and push it out to the world. We have the ability with our modern technology to really take advantage of this. So I want to say that like this is my full-time concern and campaign now. I will always do ayahuasca ceremony. I will always work with plant medicine because it's part of that vision, that larger vision of healing. The Church of the Natural Law and what we do and what I was taught to do, the teachings that I was blessed with, those teachings revolve around us coming together in friendship, community, and trust. You can't really come to a place of friendship and community and trust while you're still up to kind of fuckery, right? Like you're unhealed, and there are no rules, and there's no principles that we agree on, and there's no enforcement. There are no consequences nowadays for people just being absolute scum. I have been enjoying that Johnny Depp trial, though I didn't think I was going to watch it. I've been enjoying it a little bit because you do feel for a second like there might be justice there, and it is hilarious. So, we laughed a lot over the weekend with me and these teenagers up at this retreat. We talked a lot of philosophy, and I'm like, wow, like they're so malleable right now. And I think a lot of human beings are right now because we've been through so much trauma. We're kind of open to listening to things that like a few years ago might have sounded really strange. So it's my belief that we need to work together to create islands of light, safe places, sustainable places, places where we're in connection with each other and we're in connection with the great mystery. We're in our right place and we're in balance, and it's sustainable, and it's making enough more that we can pay it forward to other places, because we're going to have to make a formula that works for our life, because this is falling apart and we need a safety net. So it's my belief that a lot of this crisis that we're going through with our mental health issues and with drug use and with suicide is because as a species, we've kind of hit a brick wall in terms of our ability to keep on making something broken to work. The society we're living in, at least in the vast majority of the United States, is broken. And the economic system is broken. This is all because people didn't ask the right questions. This is where you can see me looping back around. I just did the medicine wheel, and anyone who's been in ceremony with me or read my materials knows what that is. You start with east, which is vision, south, which is the nuts and bolts, west is the healing and the emotions, and north is the actual nuts and bolts of it, the engineering. So we want to reverse engineer this thing based on asking the right questions. We have to start asking the right questions. The next 7 generations, human assets. Like we as human beings are actually valuable. We have value in terms of what we can do for each other, what we can do for the world, for ourselves. We are innately valuable, and a lot of the things that are most wonderful about us, and especially out of the most talented, most sensitive, most deep people, the deep thinkers, are having a really hard time. And it's because of the kind of the cruelty of the world. It makes it so that life can be very, very hard to live. And I think a lot of people who are sensitive feel like this world is kind of like walking on a bed of nails or walking on broken glass. So we need to make an environment, right? Vision, where the visionaries and the human assets can express themselves and thrive and flourish. That is going to be a sustainable eco-village type of setting. And it can't be huge amounts of dense population living on top of each other. People need to have space. People need to have stillness. People need to find a quiet within and connect with something deeper than like constant stimulation, like the phones and the traffic and the work and the this. We got to calm the fuck down and really get quiet within ourselves and start connecting with something that's more valuable. Okay, so the healing that has to come before we can do that, before we can live with each other, that's the West, the emotions, water, cleansing. North is how are we going to do it? Ask the right questions. What do we really want? Do we not want to have life on this planet anymore? Or do we want to go into like some kind of like weird collapse of like feudal warlord shit? Or do we want to go into like another dark age or something? Or do we want to take what we have and all of us commit? I mean, really commit and be focused to we need to create sustainable villages. We need to make formulas together, like as a cooperativo, like and I'm sorry, I don't think socialism is necessarily a bad thing. I think cooperative initiatives are actually the perennial way of being healthy on this planet. Tribal systems, kind of fair and just governance, by and for the people, actually really by and for the people, where you have some accountability. That requires actual kind of like pods, small groups of people, where people have to look you in the eye and they're truly held accountable. Also, the understanding that like sometimes more is just more. Having more money doesn't necessarily give you more happiness. So you'll have to kind of agree on like what kind of quality of life we want. Looking at economics and thinking, how many cars do we need? How many lawnmowers do we need? Like if we're living in a group of 100 people, you need a lot less per capita in order to be happy, healthy, and efficient. Does that make sense? So there are lots and lots of good things of getting the maximum benefit out of what we have. At any rate, aquaponics, some type of society with agreements, right? So I'm not a big fan of the Ten Commandments because I think those have been skewed as well. But what I do agree with is the Golden Rule. And I think every major world religion on the planet has agreed on this one, that you should only do unto others what you would want done unto you if you were in their position. The corollary is that what you do to other people, you're actually doing to yourself because we're all connected. And the toxicity involved with being a racist or the toxicity involved with being a misogynist and making, a single mother's life miserable. Single mothers should be taken care of by society. We should be making places where these children and these women are going to be safe. They are our future. They are our life's blood. All shades of black, brown, white, and red should absolutely be on the same playing field. I'm tired of seeing people from different ethnicities on an uneven playing field. And then people saying, oh, yeah, like you can just get right at that. Well, dude, like, if some people had the playing field level or like really smooth and easy, they didn't have to be as good a ball player, so to speak, in order to get ahead. And so the tables are slanted against the people that we truly need the most. And I think in part that was the intention of the greedy people who thought that more would be better. The people who took and took and took and ravaged the planet and sucked up and commoditized all of the resources on our planet, those people believed erroneously that they were separate from other people and that it was a dog eat dog world. And if we could just remedy that one thing by the 99%, or even I'll take 10% of you, I'll take the smartest, coolest 10%, and let's build eco villages together. And we can work with plant medicine, and we can work with yoga, we can work with shamanic healing from around the world and truly heal ourselves so quickly together and so powerfully together and create so much joy. And all the people that you're worried about right now, like I worry about my kids constantly in this world. And I worry about my community's kids. I worry about my friends and my clients because the world is in a very precarious position right now. But I do believe that we have the answer, we have the formula, we have everything we need. So this was my kernel for now. I know that was a lot and I went through a lot, but it all comes back to what do we truly want? We want to be happy and healthy, and we want to heal. How are we going to do that? We're going to do that in EcoVillages, probably with aquaponics, because traditional farming is way too much work and not nutrient rich necessarily. Okay, how are we going to do this? We're going to do this with healing. We're going to figure out how to heal. We're going to take all different traditions and we're going to agree on different stuff. And we're going to make up different cookie recipes. Okay, I'm going to give you a basic cookie recipe for how to have a good life. And you can add in walnuts, chocolate chips, cherries, whatever you want. Your cookie recipe for life can be different based on where you live, what your needs are, what your talent is in your group. You might have a pod of musicians. You might have a pod of artists. You might have a pod of whatever. You know what I'm saying? Every little patch can be different, but we need to start making these little patches where we can actually all live a good life together. And we have to heal in order to be able to live a good life together. So we're going to do that through having the right principles and telling the right stories. A lot of this is going to be about creating a new culture based on what we truly want. So those are my observations. I hope you're all having a beautiful, wonderful, amazing day and weekend. And I'm really looking forward to finding out what our new website looks like. I'm so excited. We have a great team of people. We have someone who has been working with ayahuasca and has a beautiful team of people in the Philippines who are so lovely to work with. I have my beautiful cousin, Zach, who's from the same native grandma and has been working with our community for a couple of years now. He's doing great. I've seen him grow so much. I've grown so much. And we're gonna launch this Patreon. We're gonna launch this funding, this Kickstarter. We're gonna launch a whole series of teachings, which you can access only through being on Patreon. Instead of constantly doing live material for everybody, I want you guys to invest and I want you guys to learn. And if you only donate a few bucks a month, that's fine. But there should be some kind of initiative for us to start raising the funds we need to do what we need to do. Okay, so I hope you all are having a great day. I'm going to go have a walk in the sun. It is a gorgeous day here. Thank you all so much. And let's work together to figure this out as a family because we're all one.